If you're watching this, it's Friday. It's not actually Friday here, but you know what the hell. Welcome to Florida. There goes Sebastian. There's Sadie. There's the ocean. There's a whole bunch of Hueys flying by. We're next to the Space Force base. And so they're doing helicopter training and the helicopters keep flying by. It's fun, huh? It's nice. Haven't been to the ocean in years. Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Everybody's here. All right, well, let's get on with it. So, folks, I already filmed my intro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at the beach yesterday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I finally got to do what I've never been allowed to do since being a married man, which is dig the deepest possible hole in the beach. So I actually brought an entrenching shovel, and I think I got down about 5.5, 6 feet.
Wow.
Before the hole started filling in.
With water.
Yeah, but I got down pretty far.
Cool.
It was pretty awesome.
See all the sand fleas?
No, not really, actually.
No? You know what those are?
Yes, no, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Actually, I'm familiar with them. They have them in San Francisco, which is where I used to surf all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was fine, actually. I didn't see sand fleas. We saw a couple little crabs running around. We weren't even threatened by any birds. The beach was beautiful. Oh, man.
Where did you guys end up going?
We were at Patrick Air Force Base.
One of those accesses at the Space Force Base?
Yeah, the Space Force Base. Yeah, but we went out and we found parking immediately, and we walked out on the sand, and a huge traffic. There was nobody.
Yeah.
And so we went and set up, and we had a really nice day. It was really pleasant.
Yeah, it was beautiful yesterday.
You talked about worm rock.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that the stuff? It's like this heavy white reef stuff of like all these shells cemented together that stick out of the sand?
So that, from my understanding, and granted I've lived here my entire life, is coquina.
Okay.
The worm rock formations are largely like, we have them off of like Pelican, which is our beach access across here. And from my understanding, I probably should look this up. I'm just taking this from someone else that I heard it from. They are,
There we go.
they're some sort of like sea worm that eats the sand and extrudes like these kind of rocks. So they're considered to be a natural formation. And there have been numerous discussions about like removing them because they're really kind of substantial.
Really? Like how substantial are we talking?
Like people can get hurt if you don't know they're there.
Really?
They're big.
I found when we were here last time, we were at another beach, closer up to the Cape where they fire off the rockets. Like we saw one of Musk's rockets going up, but there were a bunch of rocks that I saw at the tide marking, and they almost looked like. It's hard to describe them. Like imagine, almost like if you took Play-Doh and you sort of made all these like little sort of bar-like things and you kind of squished it together. It was these weird sand concretions that had hollow bits all through them.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
They're really bad along our beach here in Pelican. Like to the point where like the locals that surf out here have to know where some of the breaks are in the rocks to get out.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Huh.
Or you could be kind of hurt.
Huh, that's crazy. Well, folks, we're sitting here just wasting time. We haven't talked about watches once.
No.
So let's do wrist check. I'm not going to break away like I normally do because I don't have access to my bench. So I guess why don't you go? Or not.
So here's my 51, 26, 81.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the case actually. Not just the dial that got me. It was not just the lume. I loved the curve of the case and the flat sides and the nice sharp edges. It's just, here, why don't you take it off and I'll show it to the camera.
I love it.
So this is one, actually I made a video about this. This actually, when this came to me from Japan, I pulled it out and I was just flabbergasted. And anyway, Ryan's got it now. It's let's see where my camera is. There you. Well, I think we can see it. I'll try to go that. That might. In any case, I had a lot of fun building this because the 5126s are great movements. They're the ones that have the Swiss style winding, and so because they have the Swiss style winding, they have a much lower stack height, and so you can get a much lower watch, which makes this very comfortable to wear. Also, the 5126s are extremely stable, and you can, if you dial them in, it's easy to get like chronometer numbers out of them. No joke, they'll do it.
Yeah.
A lot of Seiko stuff from this time, I think they were designing and building for the top of the market, like with how they went with the 7549. They went for the top, and then they propagated that movement family through an entire line of stuff. That's my theory. I don't know if that's true, but in this case, I mean, you have you have Grand Seiko, things that use this,
yeah.
And with care you can do it. It's a beautiful watch.
Yeah. It's one of my favorites. Like this is, I've kind of like pared down my collection to like exactly like what I'm wanting to have, and most of it was like based on like having those, I guess, iconic movements, and then also the genres. Like I wanted, like I didn't want to like have like overlap or like
Right.
double up. I just wanted like, like I'll say probably the one that I wear the most is the Field Bell.
Really?
I know, I remember you saying that you're like something about the case proportions like didn't work for you.
Right. Every time I would look at it, there was like I couldn't put my finger on it.
Yeah.
But it's not that I loved it, but I think it's because I never found anything to put it on that worked for me.
Yeah. It's honestly, like I find myself, I will grab this guy.
Oh yeah.
Or I will grab.
Oh man, you cleaned up the case beautifully.
I love it.
How'd you do that?
No, I mean I've just I baby the crap out of all of my watches.
But it looks better, much better than when I sent it to you.
Yeah, I mean I think that flat, the wide link fits it beautifully.
Yeah, that's nice. So this is one of these watches that some Seiko people argue about because it's got the military dial. Some people have argued that it might be actually a military watch. I don't know that if that's true or not, but this is another one. This is another beautiful watch that I got, and I hunted this thing down. This thing, I believe, also came from Japan. No, I swear the case looks like you cleaned it up. So not like you repolish it, but it just, I see the marks of use less. It looks better than when it was with me. I'm glad that you love it. I love the look of the dial, especially the black and white alarm ring with the big white marker on it.
It's funny to me that like I've got so many friends too that like they're not into it, then they're not like aware that there was like such a thing as a mechanical alarm complication. Like people, because it's not like it's that altogether that common now either. Like you got like what, a JLC, like, or like the Reverso, or not the Reverso, the Memovox that they came out with.
Yeah.
And then there's like a handful of others that then I was doing research and I found that this was actually the first fully automatic alarm, mechanical alarm complication.
Right. Before this was the Cricket? Was before?
It was, but that was just a bumper.
Right. Oh, so it was.
The first off, the rotor was smaller, and then it only had, what is it, like that limited travel. Degree of travel. This could actually fully wind. So like I kind of like looked at everything, and I love the idea of like having like the provenance and the fun with some of them. Like the GMT, that it predates the Rolex GMT Master by like 10 years.
Oh yeah,
and the fully independent hour hand, jumping hour hand, and like those are just like stuff that like some people don't really get like in this circle and in this conversation.
I want to pull that watch out so we can show people. I'm sure if you're a long-time viewer, you know all about this, but this was the 5600 family. It's a Sua family, and they're mostly known. The 5600s are mostly known because the date correctors, Seiko was trying to shave a few pennies off of every watch, and so the date correctors were plastic. which normally would be fine, but the material, whatever plastic it was that they chose, shrinks. And then it shrinks around the metal axle it's on, and then it cracks. And I have, I think I have 7 of the replacement levers for the 5600s in their packages, never been opened. Every single one is broken.
I think didn't you talk about that on the video?
Right.
When you were going through all the like different iterations of putting it together.
Yep.
What is it? Adrian?
Yeah, no.
He makes that replacement one now out of metal?
Yeah. Adrian Selick of Vintage Time Australia, he's somebody else that I've known for like a really long time, like Saul and, a lot of these. He's one of the old, he's one of those people I've known forever. So yes, he makes replacement ones, and he just came out, actually after I did this video, he came out with the 8-prong one, and he sent one to me. Oh, I should have brought it.
Oh.
But he sent it to me, and I'm like, man, that's awesome. But it's kind of hairy redoing that lever, because it's a multi-part piece. And I was like, I don't know how much, it's not only a multi-part piece, but it has to have a certain amount of built-in friction, but it can't be too much. If it's too much, it won't disengage and slide if there's a hang-up at the date. But if it's too loose, it won't click the day or the date over. So it's got to be right. But I swear, if it wasn't for the people hearing about these primarily because of the failing date 8 wheels, these would be like this. This has got to. I love this watch.
They didn't make it for very long either.
No, well, they had the earlier versions, the duo times.
Yeah.
But it's just like, this is just a fantastic watch. I love the design. I mean, look at this thing. So it's automatic, hand winding. Does it hack? I forget.
Yeah, it hacks.
Okay, automatic, hand winding, hacks. It has an independently settable jump hour GMT hand there. It's a beautiful, beautiful design. It's really pared back and clean. And I'm so happy to have been able to bring this watch back, because you know what it looked like when.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because this watch was destroyed, and I had it in my collection for 8 years, 10 years, easily.
I don't recall what you said on the video, but yeah, it was. I mean,
it was a long time.
Whoever had it previous, like, it looked bad.
Well, yeah,
The dial was terrible.
Yeah, the dial was basically, it almost looked to me like the crystal got smashed, and then it like moisture got in, and the entire surface of the original dial was just gone. The hands were rusty, but the movement was actually not bad, surprisingly okay, but I didn't know that. And then years later, by complete accident, this dial, the replacement dial correct for this watch, was in some part slot. And at the time I was like, oh, it's a pretty dial. I don't know what it's for, but I'll just put it somewhere.
Beautiful.
And then I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can actually redo it. And I love the watch. I don't even know why I didn't keep wearing this. I love this watch.
It's on the smaller side. Like I think because I love everything mostly on like bracelets. I'm trying to do more of the straps, but like I'm always drawn to the bracelets. But this guy almost, I feel like he's kind of needs to be on something to give it that much more weight.
Yeah, you're correct. I had him on a sort of a generic sort of cuff bracelet like this that I got from Burrell. They sell them for like $5. They're leather. But it's kind of cheap, and it wasn't nice, and that probably might have been part of it, because I put it on that strap, and I'm like, well, this is definitely an improvement. Yeah. But the strap itself was kind of cheap. Maybe that's why I didn't wear it. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Because you get this oiled leather with the champagne silver on the dial and the black ring with the tomato red of the 24-hour jump hand. Yeah, I think that strap does it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed wearing it a lot. I've gotten people, like most of my like students and stuff, have like commented like, is that new? I'm like, kind of quite the opposite. It's actually rather old.
It is.
But I mean, they're drawn to it. I mean, I love it. Like, it just fits kind of right in with everything, you know. But I feel like this has been like such a journey for me too, because like we've talked and exchanged like so many pieces, and it's strange because I've had like, you know, all the ones from like the Omega, that 300.
Yeah, I loved both of those watches too, and I never wore them because I felt they were so new and so beautiful, and I'm like, I couldn't justify wearing them, and so then after a while, I'm like, I shouldn't. It needs to be on a wrist, but at the same time, I legitimately miss both of those watches.
Yeah, the what is it, the Grand Seiko GMT?
Yeah.
It's just it's a cool piece too. You know what? The only gripe I had with that one is I could never get the bracelet to kind of fit exactly and comfortably for me.
What? It was either too big or too small?
It was either too big or too small, and you know, I like to have a little bit of like looseness in it to adjust for like, you know, you swell throughout the day and you shrink down different times.
Yeah.
But it was just I never could get it to where it felt good. Either it was too loose or it was too small. Like, it was weird.
Actually, I forgot. I have to do wrist check, but this kind of ties into what we're talking about here. Different straps. For me, straps or bracelets or whatever, they can make or unmake a watch in terms of unwearability. So what I'm wearing is I talked about this last couple of weeks. It's my Glycine Airman DC4. So this has an ETA movement in it. These watches, for those who don't know, Glycine is this old company, and they were famous during, especially like Vietnam, for making pilot watches and things. They made a 24-hour watch for pilots, and they were still a very good company. This watch, when it was first made, the MSRP on it was $2,900. But then the company was bought by Invicta out of the blue, and I remember seeing all these posts, and people were like, "You will never believe it. You folks got to go on Amazon right now. Everything has been discounted 75%." And so it's a nice watch.
Is that recent?
Oh no, this was a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
But this is a pre-Invicta Glycine, and I wanted to have. I don't know. So I pulled it out because I was trying to figure out what watch I was going to go on vacation. And I'm like, well, I don't want to take anything too valuable. I don't want to take anything that I worry about in terms of replaceability or water. And I said, this thing's brand new, and it was very expensive watch when it's new. But I had never worn it, and I couldn't ever figure out why. And then I went and I found the box, the original box, because I have all that stuff. And I opened it up, and this is the correct NATO for it. This came with it. I'm like, okay, what the hell? And I put it on the NATO strap, and I'm like, man, that works. I was like, why wasn't I wearing this darn thing? And so I've been wearing it, and I've really been enjoying it. I used to think, gosh, it was a little too big, and then it was on the strap, and I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking. It's a beautiful watch. This is an ETA. It's an ETA. Not 2824. This is an ETA 289 something.
It's like 92, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So it's a high beat movement. It's got everything going on. You can see that the lower mainspring arbor is jeweled. It's right there. You can actually see the little jewel in there. But it's just I don't have to think about it at all. This went in. I broke my own rules. I went into the ocean with this yesterday multiple times, and then the shower, not a problem. So,
do you have that rule for even new watches?
No, nothing like that. If something's new, it's fine. A lot of what I make my decision on is, did I rebuild it? Okay. Did I rebuild it recently? Okay. Did I check the seals recently? Okay. Is it replaceable? Yes. Is it worth a lot of money? Yes. Okay. It's not going in the water with me.
None of these go anywhere near the water.
Yeah, well, you know what? They're your watches. You can do what you will.
No. The only one I will go out and like ride my motorcycle or kind of like, I don't really go in the water when we go to the beach or anything like that. That's what this guy is going to be for.
So have you seen one of these ever before?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. So it's a pre-Invicta thing. And I started talking about this and people started making comments like, wow, that's really cool. That's a pre-Invicta? That's amazing. I didn't know that you could get them. And I'm like, I thought this thing was maybe worth a couple of $100 because of the Invicta connection, even though it's pre-Invicta. But I was wearing it. I'm like, geez,
I think the glycine was owned by Invicta.
Yeah, they bought it out and then they discounted everything, but I don't know why. This was the early one. It's like the box it's like a wooden box with a sliding top and it's got like a carry pack in it and all kinds of things. You're rotating 24-hour thing. Oh, Saul was like, Saul Brook. He was like, I cannot believe that there's a 3 time zone watch. I did not know it.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's done great for me. It's legible. It's not too flashy. It's a good manly design. It's a clean design. I love the old school glycine font. It's very wearable. It doesn't sit too high. It's got the back that shows off. My son loves looking at the back of the thing because he can see the balance rolling and it's nice.
I thought about doing that on this guy.
Oh, it does. Oh, it deserves it.
Lapinist, Lapinist, is that? Like that.
I always think Lapinist.
The one who refinishes, yeah, right. I think he's like over in Eastern Europe somewhere.
He's I think in somewhere.
Something like that. Right?
Yeah, no, he's definitely over there. I don't want to offend anybody. I think he is one from one of the he's from one of the old Soviet states, which has since broken clean and broken free. But his work looks fantastic.
See, yeah, he makes a exhibition case back for, I think it's the 6246 9000 GS.
Really?
So it would fit this guy.
Uh-huh.
So I'm almost like, I've got, an original Beads of Rice that, fit that. And I'm almost thinking about taking that case back off to preserve that case back and put the display one.
I would. Can we see that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
This is like, I had so much trouble finding like a bracelet I really wanted to keep it on until I ordered this one from Larry and Uncle Seiko, and I don't know, it just works.
No,
I just love it.
The company that he has does his stuff and he has a good eye for detail too. Larry does, but yeah. So his stuff is nice quality. Okay, so for those of you, I'm always trying to backfill information. The first Grand Seiko was a 6246. And it was they're extremely expensive now, many thousands of dollars, but they're just an exquisitely beautiful design. What people don't know, or some people don't know, I don't know, maybe everybody knows. What do I know? Seiko made a non-GS version of it. It's literally the exact same watch in every single way, except the dial does not say GS. It even has this beautiful slab-sided case. Like that, look at the beautiful jewel-like fastening in the plane of it with the hidden crown. But this thing has the 6216 and the 6246. They're the same movement, and so this thing, for all intents and purposes, is a Grand Seiko, and it's really cool. And so, can you imagine seeing that beautiful movement inside that case back, and then this almost completely unworn original case back? Look, it even still has the frosting there around the thing. You can preserve that, and it deserves to be seen. Wow, it's such a watch.
Like I wear it to work all the time, and I kind of catch it in the sun. It's like, for its age, the hands, the markers, the case itself still just like catches all that light, and you're just going, it's such a pretty watch.
I love this watch, and the only reason I didn't keep it is because it wasn't loomed.
Yeah,
I have this like. I need, if for some reason I've gotten to the point that I really want to have loom on stuff. So, but it's stupid of me
But like it wouldn't work though too. Like so like that guy's loomed, but it doesn't really work.
Does it last anything for you?
No.
Really? Because a lot of the old vintage Seiko loom for me does glow. Like some of it I can read pretty well into the night, but this one.
I mean, honestly, maybe it does, and I've just never noticed because I'm like, I'm kind of very methodical where I get home and I'm like, I'm gonna take it off, put it where I keep it here in my kind of anal retentive like way. So like, I wonder if that minimal charge it has dissipates before it like gets dark, and I'm like, I've never tested it out.
Yeah,
so maybe it does. Maybe they do.
Maybe when I get a vintage Seiko and I look at it, and you can look at the loom and you can see that it's still got that. It still looks right. You look at it and you can see it. It looks right. And I picked, what did I get? Oh, that 7548 that just came in from Japan like a few weeks ago. I bought it because it was pretty inexpensive because it was badly pictured. But I looked at it and I'm like, that thing's 100% original. It's never been touched. Original strap and everything. And I got it for $182.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but it came in, but the loom, it has there's a look that I can see, and I'm like, that's going to be good. And I charged the loom up, and I put it in the dark, and it was like, and I could see it. And I wore it after I serviced it, and it would be readable. I remember once I looked at it, it was like 3 a.m, and it was glowing enough that I knew what time it was because of that watch. But in any case, one point I wanted to say, I didn't know about these watches. This isn't some knowledge that I cooked up. As the old saying goes, we stand on the shoulders of giants. Somebody else told me about this, and I was like, oh, that's great. And I got one, and it wasn't terribly expensive. Then like a dillweed, I blabbed about it. And so now all of a sudden, these are incredibly expensive.
Yeah, they're hard to find.
And they're hard to find,
Yeah, I see some of them, occasionally here and there. And
yeah, I mean, look, you can sort of see the sort of, like the hands are unloomed, but they have this sort of solid, faceted look, flat on the top with beveled sides, and it has this sort of like faceted, like jewel look. It's very much Seiko's grammar of design. It's a perfect example of what they did.
I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Oh, speaking of loving things, I'm sorry, folks, something even more important has happened. Even more important. So we're going to get back to watches, but right now, I have to tell you because I'm incredibly excited. I have some Ammonite news. Lots of Ammonite news, actually. Well, no, I'll make it quick. Basically, Ammonites are everywhere. 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 We got here. We're staying at Sabrina's grandmother's house. And we had pulled into the place, and I was looking around, and there were pieces of gravel, and I was like, okay, it's gravel. And I picked up 2 pieces literally at random, and I'm looking at them, and Sabrina's looking at me, and she says, Ammonites? And I said, and I just showed her the rock. And she said, yep, I see it. There it is. And so I was like, that's crazy. I must be insane. And so then we went to, what's the name of that zoo?
It's just the Brevard Zoo.
Oh, the Brevard Zoo.
Yeah.
So we went to the Brevard Zoo, and I'm trailing along behind, Sabrina and the kids, and we're looking at monkeys. And alongside the trail, they had sort of like markers of like sort of just basically chunks of stone the size of a loaf of bread. And I'm not in charge of anybody, so I can look around. And I was looking at the rock, and there was one rock, and it was about 2 feet from me, and it was about this big, and it had a big flat center section, and you could see the raised curl all the way around it. And I'm like, there it is. And I tapped Sabrina on the shoulder, and I was like, I'm really sorry to interrupt you, and she says, I see it. And I was like, okay, that's crazy. Because, oh wait, no, I'm sorry, I'm missing my point. And then we went to we went to a seafood restaurant like last night. What was the name of the darn thing? I don't know. It's sort of it's not actually like pirate themed. It's more like sea captain themed. I don't know. They have lots of like gewgaws and crap on the wall, and
Where was it?
you have to. I know how to. So you have to. It's on the whatever this long strip of land is that goes along here off the coast. I'll have to look it up. I don't think I've got the name of it. In any case, it's the seafood restaurant. I'll get you the name. And the place is packed because it was St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
It was bananas. So we're kicking around, right? We're kicking around, and I'm walking by, I'm waiting for us, and there's gravel, and I lean down and I pick up rocks, and I'm like, let's see, I think these are the ones that I found. Yeah, here's one, and this is one, I showed this one to Sabrina too, and I was like, there it is. I don't know if you can see it. Do you see the curve? You see, look, boop, boop, boop. There are the edges of the chambers right there. And this one's really crazy. I don't know how I'd be able to rig it up, but if you shine a light through this one, because it's translucent, you get a good light on it, and you can see the curls inside. You can literally see them.
Yeah.
And I was like, there it is. And so I went, I kept looking and digging, and I found another one. This one is more like a soapstone, but you can see the lines and the divisions of where the curls were here. And we had a beach day yesterday. I was picking up random rocks. Random rocks. This one's hard to see. You need to get a big light behind it, but it's also semi-translucent. But here you can actually, can you see the little circle?
Oh, I can see it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they're really hard to see. There's like curved lines, like right here. There's this black curved line there.
Coming off.
There's black curved line there. Those are the walls between the chambers.
Yeah.
And so and you can see it on both sides. Like here, you can see the curved lines. And again, this one, when I clean and polish it, you can literally see it. It looks like I can see this coiled up thing in here. What's another one? There's this one. I mean, look at that. Do you see any curls and curves? There's a center right there. And then you got a curl. And the curl comes all the way around here. And if you turn here, it's like, imagine donuts, stacking donuts kind of on side of each other like this. And you can see that here.
Yeah.
Curl.
Oh, yeah.
These are the chambers. And the points here are that's again the base of the walls of the chambers. So and there it is. I haven't even cleaned this one. So then I'm hanging out Sabrina's grandmother's house, because that's where we're staying. And they have a junk drawer, and I was looking for, I don't remember what I was looking for. I was looking for something, but this was like in with like the paper clips. And I looked at this little teeny tiny rock, and sure enough, you can actually see this.
Oh, I can see that one. Oh.
Yeah, it's right there's the middle, and then it curls like this. And what this stuff is, those are the sutures. The thing with ammonites is they have all this. You know how in a skull it grows together like this? So you have the joining line goes back and forth. Each ammonite species has those on every segment of the shell, and they're unique to each species. And so you could actually use it to be diagnostic. Yeah, look, here's chambers, right? In fact, you can even actually see the open chambers. And folks, I'm going to cut this and I'll insert pictures of these, so don't feel like you have to kind of try to look over to see what we're doing. But yeah, there's the circle, there's an inside of the chamber, and it goes boop, 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 and it curls over, and you can see the curl here and there, as well as this line, which is the center section. Oh man, I mean, what the heck is that? I didn't even notice that. Look at that. There's like sections of shell still in there. You see the little triangular?
Yeah, because that looks like kind of like some sort of compressed
shrimp
rock.
Yeah, that's something I don't know the answer to. There's so much that I don't know. But this happened, and I'm like, well, I'm insane. Or again, we're living in a simulation, or someone's playing tricks on me. How can there be ammonites everywhere? So then what I did is I went back and I looked at sort of a globe shot of what the Earth looked like during the Cretaceous period, as I was telling you.
Yeah.
Because in Colorado, we had the Western Interior Seaway. Western Interior Seaway, when the plates were coming together to start making the Rocky Mountains, before they started going up, this is the theory. I'm not saying this is gospel. This is only the theory. The plates, when they first came together, they didn't start going up immediately. They went down a little bit as the pressure started building. And so you had where the Rocky Mountains are now was a giant dip all the way from the Gulf of Mexico up to Alaska. And so that was then made into an extension of what was then called the Tethys Sea, a warm, shallow, globe-circling ocean. And the water levels were much higher, crazy, like 100 meters higher or something nuts. So if you look at this globe shot, which I will put in, you see the Tethys Sea, and you can see this shallow inland sea, but that continued. It was an outgrowth of the Tethys, and Florida, this place, was the exact same environment. So, but again, people, I'm not actually a scientist, I'm just making guesses. So some of this information might be wrong. So I was super excited to tell Ryan. I was super excited to burst in and be like, oh man, I've got some great Ammonite news. I was standing in front of his door. He's got gravel in front of his door. I push the button and I'm looking at rocks. Oh, look at the rocks. Some cool rocks. And standing up I was probably 8 feet from this rock. And I didn't even have to pick it up. I mean, I'm looking at it now and I can see it. There's a curl right here. There's a curl. There's a curl. And this one's really cool. These are one of the ones that I try to find in Colorado. It's the quartz is semi-translucent. So this can be polished and you can actually see through it. We hold that up to the light. And again, you can see, there's the center. I don't know if you can see this. Is the light shining through?
I can see it, yeah.
Yeah, there's the center right there. And then it again curls and it curls. And like this one, I mean, you can actually see there's a divider right through there.
Yeah.
Anyway, but if I polish this, it'll be this window and you'll be able to see all the structures that were left behind in what makes this what they call a phantom. And it's right there. But just like in Colorado, seriously, just like in Colorado, it's wacky. The stone types, there's all kinds of stone types represented. I have rocks just like this at home. This is another ammonite right there. You can see, you can kind of see, look at the curl. Do you see it? There's the dip in the middle, and then there are the remains of the chambers. Right there. Let's see if I've got anything over there. Yep, there it is. There's the center. You can see the chambers. You can see the curl. In fact, look, this edge is actually still lifted up. But when these things got squished and heated and melted, there's the center line. You had all this incredibly corrosive, high pressure, fluid water carrying all these minerals being pushed through this stuff. And that's why you get things like precipitated mica. It's just, I don't know, it's amazing. All this history is around us.
Gosh, you can just go to Lowe's and buy a bag of egg rock that you put in your yard, and that's where all those came from.
Well, that's the great thing. It's fantastic. If I know, and if I have any ability to teach, and I can show people how things are going, anybody, including you, I don't have to mail you rocks.
Yeah.
You can just literally go right outside your front door, there they are. Look, there's the middle, boop, boop. Boop, it's this curve right there, like a the golden mean, like and there it is. And this belongs.
sequence.
Yep, there it is. So those are your rocks. Anyway, so sorry, I was just bursting with excitement about the Ammonite news. It's really important. So what else you got to show us?
Oh.
I'm sorry, I just interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
You said you had a case back opener.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so some of you might remember I built a Seiko Jumbo out of parts, right? Out of pieces. And the movement especially is like made up of like at least 3 different movements. I don't think I screwed something down firm enough. It runs beautifully with the chronograph off, with the chronograph running, but you turn the chronograph off, watch stops instantly. So there's
something loose.
There's something up. But before I open it, there it is. That's the cyan blue jumbo.
Oh, I love the case shape.
Isn't it marvelous?
Yeah.
The dial has some damage. You can try it on if you want. I don't care.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful watch. This is the one I had was the 6138 3009. Those were only made for about 9 months for the North American market. It has a slightly different case in how the crystal is put in. That watch has what's called the G-type crystal, which is a crystal is bonded into a metal ring, and the metal ring has a sort of a semi-clear nylon gasket, basically, and it gets pressed in. And the only way to get the crystal out is you have to get the right set of pusher dies and push it out from the inside, and it has to fit perfectly. And frankly, it's a pain in the ass. This, and also, but what it did is it meant that you just had a nice smooth bezel going all the way around. This one's traditional. You still have the 2-part crystal, but you can just pop the bezel off, and then the crystal comes right out, and it has a standard L gasket made of Viton.
Ooh, what's that word?
Yeah, it works fine. I had to put that crystal in. I didn't have a crystal for it.
Got it on your favorite strap right
I
now,
do have it on my favorite strap.
SNK.
Yep, the SNK 809 strap.
Beautiful watch.
Yeah, thank you. I love it. I had this one forever.
It's so stealth, like with that color.
Yeah.
Or like on that dial where, like, if you didn't know any better and you didn't kind of like take the time to look at it, you'd pass right over it. Like, oh, yeah, maybe was that black? Like, was
Yeah.
that charcoal? Was that, like you'd have to kind of look at it. Like we were talking earlier about it. Like, there's so many times where I just find myself like, this is the beauty and a love for watches. I'm not even looking at the time. Like, I'm just looking at like various things going on like on the watch, and that's like part of the fun and the attraction of it all to me.
Yeah.
Like right now, like in this kind of poor lighting here too, but like the way that the light is catching that second hand.
Oh yeah, that anodized second hand.
Yeah, and it's just it's kind of mesmerizing, just kind of cool. It's fun to look at.
Yeah, Seiko, by the way. So he's wearing a 5126, the one that came from Japan. They were made right at the start of Seiko doing all their like sport diver stuff. And so they started out not just with the sport divers, but also like the first 6139 speed timers. Their chronograph hands were also anodized because the chronograph hands were supposed to match the look of the anodized bezel insert with that same kind of red and that semi-translucent shiny thing, but they lasted terribly. For some reason, they couldn't keep it going. So pretty quickly those go away.
They started painting them.
Yeah, I have a number of those hands, and they're all badly damaged.
Man,
They came to me again from another watch.
this one is just beautiful.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, by the way, about buying from Japan. Young Japanese people, for the most part, aren't interested in this. 10% of Japanese house stock is literally abandoned. Like the houses nobody lives there, and all the stuff is there. And so
That's kind of creepy.
they're not interested in old houses. They have a program where you can go and buy these old houses for basically nothing, but you have to pass financial checks for keeping it up. So foreigners are moving there, but like I bought a watch like a couple of weeks ago from somebody. He's like, and he was a Westerner, and he bought a house there. And he said there was stuff everywhere. He was digging through. He found an officer's samurai sword sitting in the closet.
And just because of the way that they don't value like the.
I don't. Well, they're having a demographics implosion too. Remember, they have a very low birth rate, so they have more housing, and they're also traditionally an insular society, so they're not super welcoming to outsiders. But anyway, the point was, these watches, the Japanese take care of their watches, abandoned or not. So you buy watches generally from Japan. If you look for the white loom, if you look for good case condition, you can almost basically be guaranteed you're going to get a watch that's completely original and was more or less taken care of, never beaten. So you get a lot of good stuff from there.
It reminds me of that Common Rider that you were
Yeah.
on a little while ago.
I still have it.
Yeah, it's not hard to find that. What was it? The bezel.
Yeah, the whole rotating ring.
Yeah.
And you know what? I found one.
Yeah.
You and I were talking, found about it. I found one. Actually, I found a complete watch. The watch itself was in pretty rough condition, but the bezel wasn't great, but it was there. I completely forgot about it. And then it sold for, I think it sold for like $110, but it was a complete watch. I'll find one. I'm waiting. Okay.
That one's getting popular though too. I think it's funny because I feel like with some of the companies and some of the emphasis and stuff too, like some of those cultural like pieces that seem to be forgotten or kind of like coming up again, like take the Pogue thing for example. Like not only has that been like that Americana kind of like connection, but I feel like it's really kind of pushing that Bruce Lee connection too. Like I've watched a couple of episodes of like Hodinkee, like Talking Watches, the one with like Ronnie Chang on it, and then Daniel Kim?
Yes,
And
I believe so.
they both have one. Like they both are like, and that's part of like their childhood and their connection, seeing someone who looked like them on TV, you know. And I think it's awesome because it's like, here is this kind of like really significant on its own movement in the 6139, and then here's the space connection, here's this other cultural connection.
Yep.
Like this is like why we do it. And like I came to like really like this one for
Oh, yeah.
some reason. Like I don't know
This
what
is
it is.
that's the 7060.
Yeah, the blue eye.
Yeah, it's the blue eye. So 6139 7060. It is a hidden lug design.
Yeah.
So it's a hidden lug design, which Seiko loved. It was a big thing in the 70s, and it's now coming back into fashion apparently. But there it is. So you got your hidden lug thing.
That's like my preference too. Like here it is, like on
And it's
Bellmatic.
Yeah.
Like you got it on the Bellmatic too. Like
Yeah.
on that one, I don't know why I'm just drawn to that design.
Yeah, the what's the most famous one I can think of right now? The 6306s that I have, the blue. The ones with the cornflower blue dial, they're the silver waves.
You get that one on the website for sale right now.
I have one of them.
Yeah.
I have. When I first saw you, of course, you know Mr. James Duffy of the Sandwich Time Channel. Everybody knows Mr. James Duffy of the Sandwich Time Channel. Children in Switzerland know who he is. Everybody knows who he is. Any case, but wait, what was my point? What was I saying?
The hooded ones.
Hooded lugs. No, I was going for another
The 6309.
6309. Oh, no. It was a 6306. That's it. He sent that watch, his version of that watch, into me to service for him. We did a trade.
Okay.
He sent a bunch of watches to me. That's where that silver tank
Came
watch.
from?
Yeah. I was going to restore that, by the way, before I came, but I ran out of time. But anyway, so he sent that watch to me, and I forgot my point again.
I think the 61.
Oh, yeah, no, okay. So he sent
6306.
Yeah, he sent the 6306 Silver Wave with the hooded lugs to me, and they have this beautiful cornflower blue dial with this like almost like a houndstooth pattern.
Yeah.
And it was so taken with it, I ended up buying like 4 of them. So I have a bunch of them. 3 of them are the second gens, and they say Actus on the dial. The one that's on the website is first gen. It does not say Actus. And I'm sitting here looking at these watches, most of which used to be mine. And I'm like, why did I sell these
I
watches?
think every one of them except for this guy and this guy.
Well, I very much appreciate your support. But anyway, I'm probably going to go home and take that watch off the
That's a
website.
tank, right? Look at that thing.
I know.
It's just, that is a hunk of metal right there.
It is, but it's always got one of the things I love that Seiko does that nobody else did at that time, the ergonomic undercut on the side of the case. It's not much here, it's subtle, but there it is. So it doesn't dig into your wrist. You see it a lot on the 6105 big case divers. It's got that big undercut. That's what makes them so comfortable to
I just
wear.
feel like that thing is like bulletproof.
Yeah, this is a strong watch. I had one of these, 10 or 12 years ago, and the orange was faded. It was one of the first ones I got, but because the orange was faded, I just kind of couldn't handle it. And then I got rid of it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I couldn't find another one. So, granted, I haven't really been looking, but I like these things, like this.
Yeah.
Like the Stealth GS. I couldn't keep my yap shut, and now I handed out someone else's special private information, and now I can't find one of these either. Okay.
I always look at them as like the first set times though too, like first, and this is from you.
Oh, that's a 7828 7049 or 7040.
So 49, I think. Yeah, it's 49. Yeah.
One of Seiko's greatest designs. And this, of course, again, for those of you who may not be up on things, Seiko was a world beater in technology. And in the early 1980s, they said, we're going to prove to you people that quartz is the future. We're going to do it. And they created what is, in my opinion, the greatest overall quartz movement ever made, the 7A movement. They're 15 joules, which is insane because a quartz watch doesn't need any joules. This 15 joules, all metal. It has a variable trimmer. This is a rotating ring. Has a rotating ring. It's a beautiful, clean design, and again, hooded lugs. Yeah. You see, it's much slimmer, but it's still replicating that design.
I got a thing for it.
Yeah, it's super cool. I
love that one. The bezel action on that guy and on the Anti-Digi, ridiculous.
Yeah, this one is really. This is an H803.
3 or 1 or 3.
1 or 3, I forget. Let's see if I can read it. Maybe your eyes are better than mine. $803. Okay, so this one is from later in the time period. These I think were made in the 90s, I think. But this is really cool. I talked about this watch too. This was another one of my fun projects. I got this in and it was dead, and I went through everything, and I got all the nice new seals for it. And when I popped that bezel on it, it was just like it's silk.
Yeah,
it's so smooth.
It's so crazy. I've owned and played with, and I know friends who have many high-end luxury, watches, Rolexes, and I think one of the worst bezel actions I think I've ever experienced was on a Seamaster.
Really?
That scalloped kind of bezel.
Yeah.
It's just you can't get any purchase on it, and it's just you can't turn it.
Yeah. It's crazy. People talk about Rolex. So I have vintage Rolex too. I have a couple 3. It's not because I'm rich. It's because one I inherited from my great uncle. The next one I bought was a model that no one really liked or knew about, but it's a sub. But so I got to see these bezels, their system up close and personal. I had a what is the name? 16610. Oh, my brain. 16. I don't remember. In any case, but I took the bezel off because I wanted to clean it. Watches. It was original. Never been cleaned. So I popped the bezel off. Do you know how careful you have to be popping the bezel off of those things? Because if you're not careful, the whole ring will warp. The metal ring will warp. I've never warped any Seiko bezel. I never have, never once. No matter how I've taken it off, I've never warped it. Your Rolex, you got to be super careful. And do you know what Seiko, this is the rotating ring on this is unidirectional, 120 clicks. Well, the Rolex is also 120 clicks, but instead of having, dual leaf springs to make it so you get even pressure all the way around the thing so it's easy to turn, Rolex has a wire. It's a little wire that sits in a hole. It's like a little L-shaped wire. It has some teeth on the inside of the bezel, and it just goes click, 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 click. That's it. It's not even held in place. If you take it off and you're not careful, the thing's gone. I bent the rotating ring.
It's so funny how so much of it is just this fabrication and perception and marketing. And sometimes it doesn't seem like it's even justified in the actual engineering. It's you're literally just buying this name.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I remember one of our conversations. You were talking about this is actually one of the hardest bezels to actually remove because there's just no clearance between that and the case, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they get really dirty, they're a bear to get off.
But again, I love the way that it moves. I love the way that it feels.
But with these, I used to get these in. This is the 7828 7049. With these, I used to get these in all the time when I was looking at them, and they would, from that era, guys never took care of their watches. They'd be filthy, just filthy. In many cases, because the tolerances are so tight, the rotating rings will be absolutely just glued.
Welded.
Yeah, welded.
That one that you did where it was that Navy guy, I think that it was under the ocean for a year.
Yeah. It was amazing. But with those, even with that, with all the crazy surgery I have to do to try to get those bezels off, rust and mud and dirt and paint and that kind of stuff, I have never bent one of these. Never once. I've never done it. The way you do it, by the way, if you do have one of these and your bezel's stuck and you just can't get the damn thing off, it's tough. There's a couple things you can do. If you're gonna clean the case already and you know you're gonna replace the seals and stuff, you just need to get the ring off and it won't come because the seal will be just like rock hard. It's fighting you. And it's also completely packed with filth. There's a couple things you can do. I use a little bit of lighter fluid, literally lighter fluid, Ronson in the yellow thing.
Sure.
And I get some lighter fluid in here and it wicks in through and it acts like a lubricant as well as beginning to dissolve the crap that's under there. Then what you do is you need to, you get a piece of like that plastic protective material you put on watches.
Okay.
Right.
On the dial face when you're removing hands.
Right. But I wrap it around the case.
Oh, okay.
And then what I do is I get literally a couple razor blades. And so you kind of get it in, you move it in, you make sure you're not catching metal on either side. You get it in there and you just get it and it'll drop in and it'll stop. It'll hit the inside. And then you can go on the other side and do the same thing. You're basically lifting it up like this and it'll pop right off.
That's crazy. There's just so little clearance between that and the case. So you could use razor blades in order to get it off.
By the way, and anybody cringing about the idea of using razor blades on your watches, that is the accepted method for pulling off the crystal retaining ring on Rolexes. Underneath the rotating ring, the old ones, they have even the new ones are like this actually, they have this friction held ring and you have to force the thing on. It's tight as hell. It's really, really, really hard to get off and the clearances are tight, but you have to use a razor blade.
That's crazy.
Okay, so I don't want to take up all this time. I have one more thing I want to do. Do you need to take a potty break?
Nah.
Need a drink?
No, I'm good. I'm just
All right.
listening to my dog snore back there.
Yeah, no, I heard.
Yeah.
Some of you might remember, speaking of the blue on this, and this is the SNK strap I have on here. That's the woven strap I love. I tried putting this on like a brown strap and it like hid the blue because it's so subtle.
Yeah.
But when I put it on the black strap, then I noticed all of a sudden that you could see the blue, that it was different enough that you could see it. Anyway.
It's really different blue too for Seiko. Like, it's so kind of like under the radar.
Yeah.
Kind of just like that shade.
Yeah. I'm trying. It's like this. I can't even figure out. Solbrook calls it cyan, which is a kind of blue. It's like the blue of like deep ocean water during a storm.
Yeah, and it's got a kind of a charcoal kind of quality to it as well. Like kind of got that gray mixed in.
Yeah. Well, anyway, folks, you may remember I talked about it on a wrist check. I built this thing out of parts I've had for a long time, and I finally got around to it, and I built it. And I built the movement out of like 3 different movements because the original movement was so badly damaged with rust. Well, I must have done something wrong, or I didn't tighten something down enough. We're here in Florida. I wore this thing on the whole trip, and it's running great. I'm like, well, I don't need to keep the chronograph running. I stopped it. Watch stopped instantly. But I didn't know that for another like 7 hours. And I looked down and I'm like, it's not 8:03. So something came loose. With the chronograph engaged, runs beautifully. Chronograph stopped, it will stop instantly. Typically when that happens, we're gonna have like the chronograph bridge has come loose, and so it's not providing the right clearance to allow the clutch to release. And so the clutch may be dragging. Something has come adrift. So this is my watch. I can do whatever I want with it. So I'm not at home. I'm here with my friend. We've got us. I'm going to open this up right now and I'm going to look at it. Oh, you don't have a magnifier, do you? Or your eyes are good?
No.
Oh,
I don't have a magnifier.
I'll try to figure it out. I'll just look at it and hopefully I'll just poke things at it until it starts running again. And
I mean, worst comes to worst, I'm sure you got another case back.
Actually, yes, I do. I have another case back. I have a horseshoe case back, but it doesn't match the dial. And also it's super worn. Come on now. This is a big case back. Your tool is, I'm just,
not big enough?
no, it's fine. It's fine. I like it. I like it a little bit tighter.
So you just don't get threatened to scratch it at all?
Yeah, you know, if I was really being anal about it, I would again put some of that protective stuff on here. But
you got it.
Yeah, of course.
Didn't slip.
Nope.
Reminds me of that, I remember years ago when I sent you that 6139, the blue, and it was basically like one of the most egregious, like forgery kind of like.
Really?
Do you remember that? Because we were talking about it via text, and you were like, man, I got some bad news. That case back has been like ground down. And
yeah.
And someone refinished it and like tried to painstakingly do so, but it was like, you were like, it's just too suspect because it's so perfect.
Do you have tweezers?
Yeah.
And I might need a relatively normal sized screw. I just want to, that's fine. Okay, so so we're looking inside. There's our movement. So it looks like, isn't that interesting? Wait a second. Huh. Am I not getting, so now I'm going to look at this and, geez, it's acting like it's, is that loose? Is that loose? I wish I had, that's not loose. Is that loose? Let me look at these screws. It's acting like it's not wound. Normally, if this thing's at full power, that won't swing around like that easily. Do I have a loose screw? No, I don't see a loose screw. So there must be something wrong with one or more of the coupling levers, because it's a brand new chronograph wheel. I actually broke protocol and I used a new old stock one for this. I was going to try to save the original one, but it was kind of rusty. Like the main gear was kind of rusty. So, okay, we are going to...
Those differ from the 6139 chronograph wheels too, right?
Oh, well, they're identical to the 6139Bs, okay. But the difference is that the pinion, the main pinion is longer. Oh. You can, by the way, if you have a 6138 chronograph wheel that somebody like crashed the crystal or something and they snapped off the hand, some people might think, oh, that thing's ruined. You can, with care, take the broken stump and you can rekey the side very carefully and you can use it on the 6139. So if the clutch is good, if you have a bad 888 611, which is for the 6138, and you know what you're doing, it's keep everything. Just don't get rid of anything. Just keep it. Just
not to mention, like the parts for these are just like none of this is being made anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I wonder, like, I do wonder with technology, like, is anyone eventually going to get to the point where they're like able to 3D print stuff like this?
Well, I mean, people have been talking about this, about the chronograph wheels forever.
Yeah.
And if somebody could do that, if somebody could design a part that is not part for part like the original, which I think would be a total pain in the ass, but if they can design a part that would function as maybe new tech, something else. Okay, I'm going to push this. Right now it's running. Oop, what, can you see? Okay, see it there? Clickety, clickety. Now I'm going to stop the chronograph and let's just see what happens. Click. You're still running? You're supposed to stop dead. I would stop it dead and I was listening to it and there would be no sound. It wouldn't be running out. I wonder then, is it no, it stopped. There it is.
Oh, okay.
It stopped. So what is going on? Man, I wish I had magnifiers. Something is going on. What is happening? What is happening here? Is that lever sticking? Because that would be part of it, maybe. Oh, shoot. Folks, that didn't happen. The hammer spring, if you're not careful with these things, the hammer spring is right here. It comes and it loops under this and it goes over the top and it locks in here into this post, but that helps the hammer come back. The problem is I didn't have the right crystal, the right movement ring spring, and I had to kind of rejigger one to make it work. And I thought it was fine. These aren't the correct buttons, but they're a little short, but they did work. Is something funky happening? something's stopping it. I wonder. The only other thing I could think, I did have to replace the jewel in that chronograph bridge because it was damaged. And if the jewel is gone, it's gonna the whole chronograph bridge itself is gonna, again, you're not gonna have the right clearances to have the clutch work. Darn it! I was hoping. I was
Plus,
really.
if the jewel is out, like, isn't it like clinking around somewhere in there?
No, you're talking like it's you when I adjust jewels to get rid of play, you're moving them thousandths of a millimeter, tiny amounts to make sure that you have the right clearance. Something else is wrong. So this isn't a quick fix. Whatever I did here, something's wrong. The only other thing I could try, which would be stupid, but I'm going to do it anyway, because that's how I roll. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Okay.
Easier to do when it's your watch, too.
Yeah, well, it is my watch.
Yeah.
Watch, it's me.
Yeah, so you don't have to justify it to anyone.
Well, I don't, a lot of people have no problem whatsoever telling me when I'm doing things wrong. Everybody, believe me, people are like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Oh, no. I think I've commented multiple times when that's happened. It's like, because you actually are a watchmaker, or?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Okay, definitely the reset is acting funky. It's giving me a lot more resistance than it should. Something is odd. Okay, I'm better. Discretion's the better part of valor, so I'm gonna be good, and I'm gonna put this watch back together. And when I take it home, I will do a little segment where we figure out what I did wrong.
What's wrong with the jumbo?
What is wrong with the jumbo, with the blue jumbo? I don't know. That's pretty cool. So I am going to be
limited by my meager
no, you're
things
fine.
that just
You don't have any Rotico, do you?
Nope.
You see, Rotico's cheap. You can get it. You can just go on the Jules Burrell site and you can just order it.
Yeah.
I think it's not terribly expensive, and you get a little. It's like the size of like a Kit Kat almost.
Like a stick of putty.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, but it's cheap, and you only use a little bit. It'll last forever. That and a set of magnifiers are where it's at. You get your magnification, and then you can see what you're doing. So, folks, not folks. We are getting ready to fly back out today. So I have to do errands. I have to go do shopping for snacks and get back, and we have to try to clean and pack. But I am coming back in the summer. We're going to road trip, and we'll come back here, and then you and I can hang out.
Do another video too.
Yeah. Did you have any other? I don't know. Did you want to add anything?
No,
Now's the time, man.
I think this was the only other one that we didn't cover, which I didn't. This is the only other one that I didn't. Isn't from you.
Well, why don't you talk about it? Wait, that's a memo voice, isn't it?
Yeah, this is it's the message watch, and it's this. I found it, I think, on eBay a while ago, and it's just in ridiculous condition.
Wait, is this a new version, or is this one that was never worn?
No, this is basically one that was never worn. Like, it's circa like 1995 or something, but look at that thing. It's crazy.
The only one of these I've ever seen in person looks like somebody had it, like, in the wheel well of their car.
I mean, it's essentially, like, again, like you were saying, unworn, and, like, I did a little research on them, and you see that, like, metal strip right there?
Yeah, it's got, like, a metal spring reinforcement in the rubber for reasons.
The reason is that it acts as an antenna, because I guess, like, when they were doing these, it was one of the first watches that you could get, like, an actual, like, beeper message on. Like,
really?
You could send someone a message, or you can, like, send it from, like, a beeper, and the phone would get it. So that would act as, like, an antenna to help receive the thing.
Okay, so you see that? I wondered, because the one I got, literally, it looks like somebody found it in a river, or it was, stuck to a crosswalk, and it got driven over a lot. And I was looking at the strap, because they're all one piece. They were made to be one. And I was like, why is there a strip of metal in whatever's left of whatever watch this is? I still have it. It's in pieces. I thought this was a modern watch. This looked...
It's like circa 95 or something.
It looks like something people would buy and wear now.
Yeah. It reminded me of a G-Shock when I saw it.
Yeah, it certainly has that feeling. Isn't that cool?
The display is beautiful. The crystal is beautiful. Like, yeah.
It's a really nice watch. I've never I've never seen one of these in one of these things. Ooh, this is one of the first ones too that Seiko, look, it's got a dome sapphire, I think.
Is that sapphire?
Yeah, Seiko they started using sapphire in the 90s.
Really?
Yeah, they did.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like the H601. No, it isn't the H601 RE.
That's a sapphire. Safflex, right?
Yeah, Safflex. That's the word. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. But anyway,
Like you always kind of say it too. It's like there's so much like interesting and cool stuff out there, and like just I guess like it's just not expensive like at all. Like
right.
I think I paid like $50 for this thing, and it's essentially new. Like
right. Yeah, that's one of the great things, because now you have a lot of non-Seiko people hearing about things they want to buy. Say, oh, I need to have a Willard. You know, I need to have a Pogue, in my collection. And they're not Seiko people. And that's not a good thing or a bad thing. But the thing is, a lot of people who are coming into this now, who don't really know anything about this, they hear these terms, oh, I have to have a Willard, because other people say I need to have one. Seiko made 1 billion watch models, and eBay is filled with them. And if you do your homework, you can pick up great things for almost nothing. Yahoo Japan is like, there's some fantastic stuff on there, and there's so many great bargains. And just because a watch isn't insanely valuable doesn't mean it's always going to be insanely not valuable or whatever. Who knows what's going to happen? There are so many undiscovered models out there.
I agree, and it's interesting too. Like you really do have to be careful though too, because like my horror story, you were the one who discovered it. Was that that case back?
Yeah, it was wild.
In the watch like itself, I think like the dial was actually original. I think you said the movement was okay in it too.
Oh yeah. Now I remember. Yeah.
They went to the trouble of like shaving down the whole case back and restamping it, and you're like, it's just too perfect, and it's just like
it was. You could see that there was no. Because when Seiko stamps their stuff, even on this later stuff, they have the metal stamps with the numbers, and so they're pushing the stamp edge is pushing down to make the mark, and so the metal on either side kind of goes up a little bit, right? Pushes to the side, and you look and you can see that it has to be there. There's no way to not have it there unless the case back is polished some. But even there, you can see it. But to have it be completely perfectly flat with uniform depths, it's not correct.
Well, that was like my horror story. Like I bought that thing on eBay from a seller who, had plenty of other pieces of different companies on there too, and
he's tough.
Was passing it off as hey, this is a original piece, and I went back and forth with them, and I went back and forth with eBay, and eBay didn't do anything.
Yeah, I remember. I remember that now.
It was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and I think I said. I was looking at it, I was like, well, actually, it's a pretty decent watch in many respects. It wasn't a bad runner.
No, it wasn't a bad runner.
It had good hands. Yeah. The dial was good. And so it was like a mix and match.
I think we worked something out, and you kept that piece, and we did something else. I can't remember what it was at the time. But I think one of the recent Pogues or something that you were featuring too, the H-Link.
Yeah.
Was from that piece, I think.
Oh no! Yeah, no. It's my 6139 6005 no textile, completely original watch, totally original watch. The dial is perfect. The lume is perfect. The indicator ring is faded, and I'm going back and forth on that, but it's completely original. But it needed a taper bracelet, and I didn't have a taper bracelet. He and I had done a swap. And so this watch, which was some kind of a mix and match, it had the taper bracelet. So I took the taper bracelet off and put it on my 6139 6005. And Eagle Eye here said, he was like, hey, that's the strap off that watch. That's the bracelet off that watch. So the lovely and talented Ryan Walters, he knew what was going on. But folks, I hate to do this. My internal alarm is going because I have to go to the supermarket to buy things for the family before we finish cleaning up and then go to the airport first thing tomorrow morning. So I have to sign off. I so want to thank you for making time.
I'm honored that you came by.
I'm happy to do it. But when I come back again in midsummer, we'll do that again, and maybe I can con Saul into coming over. Saul lives on the other side.
Oh, where?
Oh, Florida. I don't know. He lives over yonder.
Oh, okay.
So where do you live? I don't remember. Anyway, tell me. How long does it take to drive?
Don't leave your address in the comments. Let's just That's probably a bad idea.
Yeah, yeah, don't do
Don't
that.
do that.
How long does it take to drive from here straight west to the water?
Okay, so straight across the state is 2.5 hours.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
Oh, that's not bad.
The state is long. It's not very wide.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's that. I think that's doable. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll make plans for the future, folks. I want to thank you for watching this. I understand it's we're not answering any technical questions that people asked, but it's fun. It's fun. This is all this is about. I just interrupted you.
No.
All this, he and I were talking before we started filming, and we were saying, the thing with, watches and money and all this other kind of stuff is many people forget this is just supposed to be fun. This is just a hobby. This isn't like a height measuring contest or any of that kind of stuff. We're just having fun. So it's nice to be able to sit with people and just talk. I never get to see anybody. So this is a real treat for me.
It's not about like status, like you were saying before. Like this is just it is fun. Like I pared all this down just to have like this one really captured me, and it's interesting and it's fun, and it was like the first of this and the first of that. Like I got so many friends of mine that are kind of caught up just in that, like it's the name.
Oh yeah, I know.
Well,
what we got to do is we got to educate people and say, this is what, educate people, because it's all fun and we can all have fun, and there's no reason to put down other people. Not that anybody is, but we can just live our lives and have fun. So when I get back to Colorado, I'll make a follow-up piece. Now, I stole these from your friend. Do you mind if I have them?
keep going.
Well, because I'm actually creating a database.
I love it.
Okay.
Go for it.
So I want
I'm glad to add to it.
Yeah, this one actually this one is actually kind of interesting. This is relatively speaking unmodified shale. This is like a lot of the stuff that's underneath my front yard, but you can see there's the curl and it goes around and around, but it also has some other impressions of some other stuff in here. I'm gonna have to look at this one a little more. If you folks at home, you can see, do you see see the curl there? Curve. Those are the walls of some of the chambers coming off the middle. And you can see that it kind of goes like this. And that was just sitting by his front door. So it's cool. But when I get home and I rip this thing apart, I will find out. My only guess is that that jewel that I put into the chronograph bridge moved or something else happened. But I could be wrong. Also could be something with a hammer. I don't know. Could be a piece of debris in there. I have no idea. But we'll see. And until then, folks, safe travels, and I will see you guys on the flip side. Bye.